Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. And we're going to go through the BBC gossip column again today. And today I'm joined by a very special guest. It's MCFC Lads.
Yes, people. How are we doing?
Good to see you, bro. Let's get straight into it because there's a couple of City stuff in this as well, which will be interesting to get his take on. Let's start off with this one. Liverpool and England midfielder Jordan Henderson is considering joining Steven Gerrard's Al Ettifaq in Saudi Arabia, although they have not yet made a bid. That's from the Telegraph. However, I've also seen today, I don't know if it'll be on this list if we go further down, that Fabinho is now being targeted as well. So a couple of Liverpool players being targeted by Saudi Arabia. The thing is, for Liverpool, for me, bro, is like they need to strengthen that midfield. And I know Henderson's 33, but if they bring a couple of midfielders in and then let a couple go, they're not really like strength. I know they're strengthening maybe the first team, but they're not strengthening the squad, which I think is something that they need to focus on.
Yeah, it's a weird one, especially. I just hope if he goes to this team, he doesn't end up doing one of them things Gerrard did. That video Gerrard did. You see that? If we see Jordan Henderson version, mate. But yeah, Liverpool. I mean, obviously we're talking about getting Bellingham. That's obviously not happened. I think if they do start, getting rid of Jordan Henderson, I suppose the captain, they do definitely need to strengthen a bit more. They got Szoboszlai coming in, but I think he's a completely different kind of player. So yeah. Maybe they do need to bring in a couple more players.
Interesting. Check out this one. This is big, man. PSG will do everything possible to sign Tottenham and England striker Harry Kane, although his first choice remains Bayern Munich. That's from RMC Sport in France. Now, that's quite an interesting one because, of course, the rumour has it that Harry Kane does want to go to Bayern Munich, which is obviously repeated there. Bayern Munich want him, but they're not really willing to go to the price where Daniel Levy is going to sell. However, a club that would probably go to that price is Paris Saint-Germain. What you seeing with this Harry Kane thing? Do you reckon he's going to go? Where do you reckon he's going to go, man?
I know. The thing is with Harry Kane, right? So the big chance for him, I think, was a couple of seasons ago. If he'd come to City, maybe we wouldn't have signed Haaland. And maybe he'd be in Haaland's position now. But for me, Harry Kane, he needs to win something. He can't just sit around and be that guy, that Matt Letizia guy that kind of sat at effectively a team that isn't going to win anything break a few records, score a few goals. He don't want to be that guy. He wants to be a guy that's remembered for winning stuff. So for me, if Bayern Munich come along, he can go there, win a few Bundesligas, maybe win a Champions League, and then he could always come back to England in a couple of seasons. But PSG, I think that'd be a decent move from as well. But I don't see them winning the Champions League anytime soon, personally.
Will be interesting to see what happens then. Of course, what price Daniel Levy would sell. Barcelona want Manchester City and Portugal midfielder Bernardo Silva, but their backup plan is Tottenham's 27-year-old Argentina midfielder Giovanni Lo Celso. So that's a bit of a downgrade, isn't it? That's from Mundo Deportivo. Bro, do you have any idea what's going on at Barcelona, mate? Because every day I'm seeing Barcelona being linked with all these players. Yeah, apparently they have no money. They can't sign players. What the fuck is going on, man?
Yeah, I think it's weird the way that the president kind of things work in Spain, and especially Barcelona and Real Madrid. It's like the guy in charge wants to stay in charge. So he's got to keep the fans happy. He's got to get voted in. He's got to do a good job. So if they've got no money, all he can do is pretend to be interested in players. So that's why I think you're seeing loads of different people apparently going to Barcelona. Like if you looked at all the links they got, they'd have like 100 players if they all came to Barca. But for me, I don't think they've got any money. I don't think they've got any chance of signing Bernardo, because if they did, they'd have signed him this last season or the season before. So
it's all PR then? You reckon it's all PR?
Yeah, I think it's all PR, yeah, for sure.
That is pretty mad. This is another interesting one, actually. Inter Milan are willing to pay £25 million plus add-ons for 30-year-old Belgium striker Romelu Lukaku, although Chelsea value him at £40 million. Another error there. I don't know if you watch these every day, but every single day we do these, there's always errors in the BBC. Taxpayers' money, license fee ain't going far enough here. Listen, I think, honestly, I know Inter Milan are trying to get him on the cheap. I think £40 million is still a really good price for Romelu Lukaku. I think if you look at him, 25 million quid is cheap. £40 million is for a player that scores goals. I think he's a great price. So even if Inter Milan end up paying 40 million for Lukaku, bro, I think that's honestly a great deal for Inter Milan. I think Chelsea have been absolutely roasted with this, haven't they?
Yeah, I think obviously the Champions League finally got a lot of negative attention, but I think that's probably benefited Inter Milan. I think he's had a decent season with them. Chelsea bought him for 99 mil just 2 years ago. So to see a player drop from that value to, I saw them trying to bid like 25 mil, 30 million euros. But if Chelsea want 40 mil, I still think that maybe they're just trying to cut the loss, but I still think that's not enough for what they paid for him.
I agree. Nottingham Forest have followed up their long-standing interest in PSV Eindhoven and Ivory Coast midfielder Ibrahim Sangare by making an offer. That's from The Athletic. It's going to be an interesting season for Forest, isn't it? Because obviously last year they were kind of forced into the situation, really. I think they got a little bit too much stick about how many players they had to sign, but they had to sign that many players because I think they had a load of players like on loan and that. This is going to be an interesting one because, of course, they did really well to stay in the division. Can they kick on from here now? Maybe get themselves away from that relegation zone so they're not constantly in that battle. But you got to give credit to the manager there, aren't you, bro? Because he done a good job to keep them
up.
On.
Yeah, well, Steve Cooper looked a little bit under the cosh sort of just before Christmas time. They were right at the bottom. And then people were saying, is he going to go? Is he going to get sacked? He actually kind of got the contract extension, then got backed a bit more in January, made a few good signings, Keylor Navas, that kind of thing. So to be fair, he's done a good job, especially seeing as though he actually picked them up at the bottom of the Championship. I think he's done really well to get them into the Prem and then keep them in. Yeah, I think if they just stay up again, I think that's a great season for them. I don't think they need to get giddy, thinking they can to do much better than that at the moment. But
yeah, it's an interesting one. This is quite a funny one, this one. Brazil forward Willian is considering a second offer to stay at Fulham after his contract expired this summer. He's also been approached by Nottingham Forest and has attracted attention and interest from Saudi Arabia. That's from the Daily Mail. This is funny. I don't know if you followed this story, bro. If you followed it for like a couple of weeks, basically, what I think's happened is Willian was expecting a load of offers at the end of basically his contract at Fulham. They've not really come in, and now he's like, "Oh, actually, I might stay at Fulham." It's quite a funny one, but listen, I think he does an all right job. He works very hard. He's got quality as well, and he's 34. But Fulham, this is going to be an interesting season for Fulham because I tipped Fulham last season to have a really good season, and they had the best season ever in the Premier League. Got the record amount of points for Fulham Football Club, and that manager Marco Silva, I think he's a brilliant manager. I love the way he plays football. I do think his sort of negative downside is that defensively he's probably not as astute as some other coaches, but you watch Fulham, they play great football, attacking football, and again, what can they do this year? They finished in the top 10. Can they kick on, try and get European football? Could be an interesting season for Fulham.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, as you said, the defensive thing for me is the only issue with them. They seem to be pretty good going forward. In midfield, they strengthened last year. But yeah, I think at the back, they just need to sort it out a little bit. I remember we played them in the FA Cup actually a couple of seasons ago. City did, and Marco Silva, they went 1-0 up, and I think we won about 4-1. And he said, Man City will know they've had a game today. And I just thought, mate, you lost 4-1. Like, sort it out.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Liverpool are ready to make an offer for Chelsea's 20-year-old English defender Levi Cole. This is from 90 Minutes. Obviously, been heavily rumoured on social media. This is one that's pissing off a lot of Chelsea fans actually, because Levi Cole was obviously very highly rated. I know he's obviously only played like a short amount of time in the Premier League, but it's clear to anyone that watches that there's a player in there, and that with some proper coaching, with some proper development, you could have an England centre back on your hands. And obviously, Chelsea have sold Mason Mount. That really split the Chelsea fan base. I just think could this really sort of tear apart? Because right now, obviously, Chelsea had such a bad season last year. Surely this season is about uniting the fan base, uniting the club. They've already split the fan base. And I don't know if you follow Chelsea fans on Twitter, mate, but they've been arguing with each other like for about a month over Mason Mount. And I think if they sell Colwell as well, I think that's going to completely tear the club apart from the fan base section. And that is the last thing that Pochettino needs, man.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to go for like a hard reset. They're just selling everything. But as you said, I don't think that's going to help Pochettino, to be fair. Manchester
United, Newcastle and Aston Villa are interested in Atletico Madrid 23-year-old Portugal forward João Felix. That's from ABC. And actually, I've seen this morning on Twitter that Aston Villa are apparently the only club that have put in an actual offer for João Felix. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. Obviously, on his day, a very talented player. Let's have a look at this one. West Ham are frustrated by the length of time to sell 24-year-old England midfielder Declan Rice caused by delays in paperwork drawn up by Arsenal lawyers. That's from Sky Sports. It is a bit weird, this one. It kind of hit me today that like, oh shit, you've still not signed Declan Rice.
Yeah. Mate, Fabrizio's got a lot of explaining to do if he doesn't end up at Arsenal, but I think he will. It's a bit weird though, isn't it? It's a bit weird because it was bouncing around for so long, and there was just like weird bits of news creeping out. Obviously, City making a bid, Arsenal making a few bids, and then finally bidding kind of way over what City had offered. It is a strange one, the fact that this hasn't gone through, but I suppose with the players being on holiday, like for example, City with Kovacic, that went through very quickly. Obviously, it was a smaller fee, but for a player to sort of, here we go, whatever you want to call it, to another team and then not officially be announced for so long, it is a little bit weird. It is a little bit weird. But
it's also not that surprising in the sense that if you remember that Arsenal's first bid was like £65 million or £70 million over like 4 years. They've now gone to 105 over 18 months. Like, there's no surprise that like it's taking so long. The question, I guess, for maybe the viewers, and you can let us know in the comments, is have Arsenal maybe pushed the finances a little bit too far, agreed to go for something, and maybe the lawyers are looking at it and going, fucking hell, like we are sort of maxing out. Be interesting to see how long it takes to get done. I do agree, though. I think it will get done. Everton are interested in unattached French striker Moussa Dembele, and Leicester City's 36-year-old former England forward Jamie Vardy. That's from Football Transfer. I don't see Jamie Vardy leaving
no
Leicester
chance
now.
Yeah,
you know, if he wanted to leave, he would have left a few years ago. And I think, do you reckon he regrets not forcing a move a few years ago? Maybe a bit like
I don't know. He's buzzing. The thing is with Jamie Vardy, like he's one of those guys. He's obviously at Fleetwood, and then Leicester gave him the chance. I think they gave him the chance. Obviously, he's gone into the Championship, and then he's had that fairy tale story with them. It's hard to kind of for him to leave that. Like, imagine signing for a team that gave you a chance from non-league, basically not carrying them, but being a huge part of what they've done. And then for them to drop back into the Championship, especially when he's kind of almost struggling to play at a Premier League level anyway every week, I think he'll definitely stay there, to be fair.
Interesting. Newcastle considered an offer for £30 million from Leicester for 25-year-old English winger Harvey Barnes. That's from Daily Mail. Yeah, again, this is one that's been moving. It does look like Newcastle are going to try and get their hands on Harvey Barnes, and I think 30 million quid for Harvey Barnes is honestly a great price. I think he's got loads to offer, and I think with the right coach, with the right manager, I think he can go on to be a top player, bro.
Yeah, I think, as you said, Harvey Barnes, an equaliser. But yeah, he's a great player. And I think 30 million would be a bargain, to be honest. I think if he was still in the Prem at Leicester, he'd be asking for probably 50 in today's market.
Then that's the problem, isn't it? You get relegated, it's a fucking nightmare. Nice and Wales midfielder Aaron Ramsey received a lucrative offer from a Saudi Arabian team. That's from the Sun. Yeah, go and earn the bag, man, in my opinion. Tottenham and Denmark midfielder Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is on a long list of potential Atletico Madrid targets. That's from Marca, and that's like the third or fourth time we've seen Højbjerg to Atletico Madrid link, so that's probably going to happen. Another sale here from Chelsea are open to selling 24-year-old English defender Trevor Chalobah this summer. That's from the Evening Standard, who I think is actually Evening Standard are normally good sources when it comes to Chelsea stuff. So it's another youth player who a couple of years ago looked like he had a really good career in front of him. Now looking at being sold. I mean, you got to keep some of these players around, haven't you?
Yeah, it is a strange one because it's almost like they've obviously got the good academy at Chelsea, but to lose so many players, it's like, what are you doing it for? Do you know what I mean? They're going to have to buy players to replace these guys as well, it seems. So a bit of a weird one.
Now, bro, I want to get your opinion on this one. I give my opinions on this yesterday on City Extra, so let me get your thoughts on this. Manchester City have turned down bids of £30 million for 20-year-old English midfielder James McAtee. That's from the Sun, Martin Blackburn specifically. Of course, he was on loan last year at Sheffield United. Bro, this is a lot of money to turn down for a player, isn't it?
Yeah, mate. Especially seeing as he was on loan last year. But to be fair, I watched him live a couple of times at Sheffield United last year, and he looked good. But then £30 million, I suppose it kind of depends who that's from. I feel like if Sheffield United kind of came in with that money, it'd be a different story. But I think it's quite obvious it's not from them.
So what, you think it's from like a bigger club, maybe a rival or something?
I think it's from a team pretty close to us, but I think it says a lot about Pep and everyone else and how much they value him. It kind of says, when he was 19, he got the contract extension, I believe. And it's almost like he is a good player. We need to keep him, and he must be in the first. If you're turning down 30 million for a player, he must be in the first team.
I agree.
If you look at what we sold Sancho for, or somebody like that, 30 million is more than double that. So he's got to be in the first team next season.
Yeah, guys, let us know in the comment section below what club do you think it was then that put this £30 million bid in? Because I probably agree. I think if Sheffield United probably came in, we would have been like, let go and we'll have a buyback on it or something for 50 million. And so you're probably right. Alex Scott, Bristol City player, has rejected a £50 million offer from Bournemouth for the 19-year-old English midfielder. That's from Bristol Live. Very highly promising player. and 15 million quid. Yeah, I signed him on my FIFA career mode. So, yeah, I know all about him just on FIFA. Manchester United's English defender Will Fish has agreed to rejoin Hibernian on another season-long loan. That's from Manchester Evening News. Wolves are open to offers from Spaniard Johnny Castro Otto and are in talks to re-sign 31-year-old Republic of Ireland Matt Doherty. That's from the Express and Star. We've seen that in the last couple of days. Chelsea and USA midfielder Christian Pulisic will wear the number 11 shirt when he joins AC Milan. That's from Goal. Yeah, Pulisic, he never really worked for him at Chelsea, did it? I mean, I personally think there's a player in there. I do. I think there's a good player in there with coaching and maybe in a more stable environment. I think he could go up a few levels, but because we've seen it in clips, haven't we? We've seen it in glimpses at Chelsea that he has got this. I think he scored a hat trick against Burnley a year ago or 2 years ago, but he's just not been able to find that consistency. So I do think it's probably the right thing for him to move, but just not worked, has it, for him?
Mate, the downfall was when that guy called him the LeBron James of soccer or whatever they called him.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as that clip came up, I think he
was that the porn stars thing?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I remember.
He was supposed to be an expert as well. Nah, to be fair, I think it's a good move. I don't think it's worked out for him too well. He did well at Dortmund, obviously, looked promising. But yeah, I think it's a good move for him.
Yeah, man. Leeds United, Spain forward Rodrigo is set to join Qatari club Al Rayyan after they triggered his 3 million release clause. That's from Daily Mail. Is this the striker? Because didn't he get off to a really good start last season?
Yeah.
He was up there with Haaland, wasn't he, on top goal scorer?
He got a crazy number of goals by the end. I think I'm right in saying he must have had about 16, 17, but that looks to me like a relegation clause. Like, I'd have thought his release clause would have been far higher than that if he'd have been in the Prem, and he'd probably stayed. But it's one of them where, you know, he's a good player, and if he's gonna get relegated, he wants to leave. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And finally, Marseille are close to signing Atletico Madrid's 25-year-old Brazil defender Renan Lodi, who was on loan at Forest last season. That's from Foot Mercato. So the main news today: Harry Kane is now looking at potentially a move to PSG if PSG coming from, and of course, Bayern Munich, I still am very sceptical of Bayern Munich going near that £100 million price tag, which is the rumoured sort of, if there's any chance of getting him out, you're going to have to pay. I just don't see them going for it. PSG would, of course. Bernardo Silva to Barcelona, is that an actual thing? And James McAtee, £30 million bid rejected from Manchester City. I agree with lads on this one. I think that it probably is from a bigger club, hence why we've rejected it. I just agree, but I think you were spot on, man. I didn't actually say this yesterday because it didn't come into my head, but I think if it was from like a Sheffield United, City would have been like 30 million, and we'll just buy you back for 50 if you slam it, like, because that's good business. Effectively, to be getting a class player for 20 million. So, yeah, buzzing. Thank you for coming on, bro.
No worries,
Obviously, you guys know where Lads is at. I put his channel in the title. Make sure you go subscribe. Subscribe to this channel. Smash a like. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And I'll be back tomorrow for another transfer review. See you later.